digital technology, visual truth, and conventional documentary.
You can make me co-host, Sean. That'd be useful. So we'll just give people a few minutes to enter the room. Thank you, Sean. So we have about 25 registrations, but everyone knows that half the people turn up compared to who's registered. So we could just give it 2 more minutes. Okay, I think we will crack on. So I'm just going to start by sharing my screen. Okay. So yeah, welcome to the Museum of Consciousness. We have a lovely crew here with us, some of us here, some of us not, but Kenneth, Tiffany are here, both based in Oxford. Michael is one of the early collaborators, he's based in Berlin. And Alex here, who's based over in America. So we have a paper already published that you can check out. That's the address at the bottom. That's a full paper that Kenneth, myself, Alex, and Mikhail wrote. We have the background being the Cyberdelic Society. So I formed the Cyberdelic Society with another set of crew about 5 years ago, and we were very interested in how do we form altered states of consciousness, mainly with technology, digital technology. Also co-founded the London Experimental Psychonautics Club, which again is looking at all the different ways we can trigger and create altered states. So my background is basically running these incubators all over the world. Last one we did was in Melbourne, and we basically invite anyone that's creating cyberdelics to join us and to talk us through and to show us the experience. And it's very interesting seeing the different ways that people are doing it, and the cultural differences between different cities and countries. I'm also involved in a lot of psychedelic field work and clinical studies, especially at Imperial College London, where I've just actually finished the latest phase of the DMT studies, which is the DMT extended state. And also very interested in something called moist media, a term coined by Roy Ascott, which is when we start to combine the wetware with the dryware. So it's like, how do we combine the substances with the technologies, and can those help with things like integration and preparation for specific experiences? And then moving on, I've now been looking at how do we stack these experiences. So we're forming Holotechnica Academy, which again is a big stacking exercise to see, you know, whether you start with some meditation, you do some breath work, you then do some psychedelics, and then you may go into a VR experience, and you come back out and do some more breath work, etc. So it's about recipes for consciousness augmentation. Museum of Consciousness is kind of the first instance of us really getting our teeth into how do we do it practically. And we launched the first version of the museum at Burning Man in 2020. And yeah, it's an experience that's designed to allow visitors to create their own pathways for consciousness augmentation through accessing, experiencing, and even combining various altered states. We promote the formation of altered traits. So I've noticed over many years of being in this space that a lot of these things are very gimmicky. Even if it's, you know, a lot of the psychedelics, it's about chasing your own tail and chasing the next peak experience. Not much focus on the full stack, not much focus on the preparation and the integration. And yeah, so how do we use all the different methods for creating altered states to create altered traits? So this was the first Burning Man experience. Obviously, everything's been virtual for the last 2 years, but the museum is not limited to being virtual. We could imagine a sort of traveling circus where all the artists come with us. And basically what the artists are doing is they're giving us the experiences for the museum. In this particular exhibition, we've chosen audio, and it's 2 to 4 minutes of audio that enables you to reach an altered state. So it's very much up to the artist. It's artist driven, and we're very pleased to be sort of guided by the artist's contributions. We make it very much an open book, so it's not prescriptive. We don't say make an experience like this. We say make an experience that's close to your heart, that you know works, and then we curate the museum around those samples. So it's very declarative in that sense. So some other aspects of what we're trying to achieve, it's very much about this circular system. So we have the artist transmit the experience, and then the audience integrates the experience and spends some time with the experience. And then there's a feedback process. So there's the full circular system where the artists get instant iterations and understandings of how effective their experience is. We want it to be very decentralized. So the artist owns their own space in the museum. The website that's actually museumofconsciousness.space effectively houses these spaces, these pod-like spaces where the artists own their own data, and they can have their own exhibitions. They can get together with other artists and form their own exhibitions. They can remove their experience whenever they want, and they can monetize if they want, etc., etc. So There's many different types of media possible. We're focusing on audio at the moment because we believe post-pandemic that everyone's kind of zoomed out and tired of seeing their own face on the screen. So audio is a very powerful way of basically getting into your own space and really focusing on introspection and introception. And also we have many different types of exhibition planned. So this is 2 to 4 minute audio clips. We can imagine an exhibition of Zen koans, which will be 10-second transformative experiences. So there really is no limit to the museum's breadth. So at the moment, we've got a lot of different samples from these artists, and in the database, it's just the artist name, the experience name, the description of the experience, and a bio. And yeah, we have lots of different submissions. For instance, Jade at the bottom here, she's created an experience which is all about, you know, like a mystery school experience. Mystery schools are all around, you know, death and understanding death and facing death and understanding the power of death for transformation. So her experience, 7 days left to live, is an interesting one. Carl actually created an experience all about creating a tulpa. The tulpa is a thought form, and you know, it's a Tibetan term, the tulpa, and it's a very powerful technique, but also quite a dangerous one. So you can see it's red there because we haven't launched it yet, because tulpas, unless you know what you're doing, you can create these thought forms. And egregore is actually a multi-layered tulpa. You could argue religions are egregores. So these things, you know, may be only accessible to a certain few. And yeah, so that's an interesting debate. Like, we have to moderate what we get and decide whether it's suitable for everyone or just actually selected people. Jay Cousins created something called the placebo bar. So he's using placebos to generate altered states. Heather does an amazing one called Awakened Inquiry, and I think that's on our list for today. All about mindfulness. And Denise here at the bottom, she was at Medicine Festival last year. She opened the festival with an experience that she calls Ocean of Stars, and it was just so profound, this experience, and standing there physically with all the audience. Just, I was like, we've got to have this in the museum. So I went up to afterwards, and she was very happy to be part of the experience. So it's about, you know, reusing what you do and getting it into multiple different contexts. So Ali also has a brilliant one called How to Catch a Thought. Ali's a meditation and mindfulness teacher, and I just love this one. It's like a few minutes and it's extremely powerful. So that's it from me. Do you want to take over, Tiffany?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I'm going to start my screen share. Thanks for the introduction to the Museum of Consciousness, Carl, and some of your other efforts to enhance our understanding of our own minds. So my name is Tiffany. I'm a medical student currently based in Oxford. And Kenneth, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Kenneth Shinizuka. I'm a first-year PhD student in psychiatry here at Oxford.
Awesome. So I'm just going to share my screen.
We apologize also if our internet's a bit choppy.
Yeah, just let us know if you start having difficulty hearing us, because then we'll just do some modifications.
It's really good. It's fine right now.
Oh, great. Okay. So we just went through this is just a brief overview of the agenda. We should expect to be listening to samples in about 20 minutes. The first thing we're going to do is go through some instructions for how to evaluate the sample, because after each sample, you will be using a scoring card through Slido. I don't know how many people have used Slido in the past, but we will be using Slido today to get some samples evaluated. And to begin that agenda, we'll start off with an icebreaker led by Kenneth.
Yeah, so we're going to start off with about a 10-minute icebreaker. And the goal of this icebreaker is to basically introduce you to a style of introspection that we want you to be practicing while you're evaluating and reflecting on the samples. So this icebreaker is from a friend of mine named David Leon here at Oxford. And so for this icebreaker, I want you to just take a moment to close your eyes, get comfortable, lie down, get relaxed. Whatever you need to do in order to just totally sink into the present moment. Let go of any thoughts of the past, the future. Really just try to be here now. Center your awareness in the present moment. Think about the feeling of your feet touching the floor, of your back pressed up against the chair if you're sitting down. Just totally focus on the present moment. And slowly bring your attention to your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. And try to detect all the subtle sensations in your body associated with that breath. That feeling of the air going up through your nostrils and down as you breathe in and out. And notice where you're breathing from as well. Notice your belly rising up and down. Notice your lungs expanding, contracting. Just feel that current of air going all throughout your body. Notice also whether your back gets filled with air as you breathe in. And as you sink deeper and deeper into your breath, try to just completely relax your body. Notice any tension that might be stored somewhere in your muscles. Lower your shoulders. Relax the muscles of the face. Drop your jaw. Just try to loosen any tension you find anywhere in your body. And now, just direct your attention to your hands. And really just take a moment to reflect on the felt experience of your hands. How heavy do your hands feel? Or do they feel light? Now, feel each finger individually. Starting with your pinky, just direct your attention to all the sensations that your pinky is feeling. The feeling of air surrounding your pinky. Anything else that arises in your consciousness right here, right now. Then move to your ring finger. And do the same. Feel all the sensations in your ring finger. Move to your middle finger and do the same. Just feel every sensation. You might want to move your finger a little bit, wiggle it slightly. And now move on to your index finger. You might start at the tip of your finger and go all the way to the bottom where your finger meets your hand. Just really try to detect every subtle sensation. Even the feeling of the muscles pulling each other in your finger. And finally, your thumb. Give your thumb the totality of your attention. Focus all of your awareness on the sensations you feel there. Good. Now I just want you to bring your hands like this, with the fingers facing each other. You can take a moment to look at the screen if you'd like. And now just close your eyes and try to see if you feel anything passing in the space between your fingers. Could be a little tingle, a vibration, just a sense of warmth or energy flowing in between your hands. And just rest in that for a moment. Introspect into it. What does it feel like? And again, give it the totality of your attention. Focus all of your awareness on whatever it is that you might feel is passing between your hands. And bring your hands down. And just bring yourself back. Feel the entirety of your body. And open your eyes. That concludes the icebreaker. Thank you, everybody.
And now back to Zoom. So the reason we wanted to do this icebreaker, which I laughed at the name icebreaker because I feel like it's totally inappropriate. It's not breaking any ice, but it is definitely warming you up for your evaluation of the samples. So if everyone has a device of your choosing, if you've ever used a QR code before, you can just take an image of this QR code and take a picture of it. And you should be able to open the link to the Slido, and there's just a questionnaire that you will fill out after each sample. So we just want to give everyone a few seconds to, maybe 30 seconds to get the Slido open. I'm going to leave my screen.
Yeah, just to add to that, Tiffany, so you don't actually need to take a photo, you just need to open your camera on your phone and it should recognize the QR code and give you a link to the Slido in there.
Yeah. So I do want to, let's just make sure this is, here it is. So is everybody able to access the Slido?
Just make it full, make your slide full screen again, I would, just so that people who haven't taken a picture can, or open their cameras and can look at the QR code. Just let us know, everyone, if you have any issues with getting the Slido open. You can also just type the address into your phone browser or your computer, whatever you're using.
Link.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hopefully everyone has their Slido ready to go.
If anybody's having issues with the QR code, feel free to speak up now, or just enter in the link beneath the QR code.
And we're going to now pivot to the image you see on the left-hand side of this slide is the first page of the guide you can use for evaluating each of the samples. So Kenneth is going to walk us through that. Just 1 second. Whoa. Technology. There we go.
Awesome. Great. So we're just going to take a moment to read through this guide together. The samples are evaluated along these 4 domains: unity and expansiveness, energy, movement, and directionality, the valence and quality of your experience, and finally, phenomenological richness. And this guide was developed in accordance with a lot of literature in the science of consciousness. And it's based on scales like, for example, the Mystical Effects Questionnaire, which are used to assess altered states of consciousness under the influence of things like psychedelics and meditation. Great. So let's go to the first section, unity and expansiveness. So the first question in the scoring card is asking if you notice a change in your bodily awareness, bodily ownership, sense of space, or self-location. So we'll just read through these together. Bodily awareness is the awareness of the interactions between the body and the external world, such as the sensation of your feet touching the floor, and of the interoceptive signals within the body, such as heart rate variability, breathing rate, and more. Bodily ownership is a sense of mindness over your own body. Advanced meditators have described the loss of bodily ownership as a process of dissolving into pure awareness of the body, the sensations, pulse, location of limbs, sounds, and sights, to be only a witness to all of this. A sense of space or self-location is defined by the amount of space that you feel your body takes up in the environment. Ordinarily, you might feel that you're at a single point in space, but in altered states of consciousness, that point may grow larger or smaller as the seat of your attention expands from your head to your entire body. Alternatively, you could begin to feel as though you're located at multiple points in space, especially as the boundaries between yourself and the world dissolve. The next question is asking whether you experience oneness or a fusion of self into whole, or a change in your sense of self as it relates to others, surroundings, objects, or the world at large. So the experience of oneness is defined as an insight into the inherent unity of all phenomena, which could sound like a vague idea, but a useful metaphor is the experience of clear light in deep sleep, where there's no body awareness, no sensory awareness, but full wakefulness, and all things are suffused with a clear luminosity. This experience also tends to arise as the boundaries between yourself and everything outside of you begin to dissolve, resulting in a deeper sense of connectedness with others and the environment. Next, this domain also asks whether you notice a change in your sense of time or experience timelessness. So a change in the sense of time can occur in a number of ways, and this is mentioned in the footnotes, but credit specifically to Andrés Gómez Emelson of the Qualia Research Institute for coming up with these categories. So these include time dilation, the experience that time is slowing down, time contraction, the experience that time is speeding up, and a few more exotic experiences of time, including time loops, the feeling of being stuck in a perfectly repeating sequence of events, moments of eternity, the feeling that time has no past or future direction, temporal branching, the act of simultaneously perceiving multiple possible outcomes of a given event and its branching causal implications, and finally, timelessness. The last question in this domain is asking whether you notice a change in your self-related thought, which can be understood as a change in the ability to access autobiographical information, so just information about yourself, the way that you infuse certain emotions into certain experiences, and or the amount of attention that you pay to emotionally significant experiences. Next domain that we have is energy, movement, and directionality. So the first question is asking about a change in your energy flow, specifically in its movement or directionality. So for these questions, I want you guys to think back to the icebreaker, and specifically to that current of energy that you might have felt passing through your hands at the end of the icebreaker, that sense of warmth, tingle, vibration, or something entirely different. In Qigong, the Chinese study and practice of energy flow, energy is often described as something that is spiraling or whirling. You can feel this current of energy passing, for example, from your gut to the crown of your head in this counterclockwise fashion. So if you are able to observe the energy in your body after the samples, just try to notice whether it's moving clockwise or counterclockwise. Alternatively, it could feel like the energy is not spinning, but instead moving along a constant streamline. So like the left diagram at the bottom, for example, instead of the right. If so, just take a moment to observe the direction in which the energy is flowing, for instance, up or down through your body. The next question is asking whether the sample made you feel more or less energized, awake, or alert. So this feeling is encapsulated by something in the philosophical literature known as tonic alertness. And according to the philosopher Thomas Metzinger, tonic alertness is just the capacity for sustained attention. So it results from the successful control of arousal over longer periods of time in the absence of anything external outside of you. And it also enables cognitive capacities like orientation, executive control, attention, and what he calls epistemic agency, or just a feeling that you have ownership over your actions. And then the next domain is the valence and quality of your experience. So the first couple questions are asking whether your conscious experience was at all positive or negative. So, I think everybody has their own understanding of what positive and negative experiences are, but a useful guide for this comes from mindfulness. So many mindfulness teachers, such as Jon Kabat-Zinn, have argued that a lack of present-centered awareness is what drives suffering, including physical pain. So after the sample is concluded, just observe whether you feel a desire to be anywhere but the present right now, whether your mind is drifting off into thoughts about the past and the future, or of other places that you could be right now. If it is, then your conscious experience may be negative. Otherwise, it could be positive. Next, we're going to be asking about whether your conscious experience felt at all spiritual. So if you do identify as a spiritual individual, answering this question may already feel intuitive for you. So reflect on how you feel while you're deep in prayer, meditation, or any other form of spiritual practice. Just try to see whether there are any similarities between this feeling and your experience of the sample. If you don't identify as a spiritual individual, just reflect on any emotionally significant moment in your life when your mind became completely quiet. So Eckhart Tolle, a spiritual teacher who wrote this book called The Power of Now, describes a state of total presence of being here now as something sacred. So ask yourself, did that experience bear any resemblance to how you felt during the sample? And the final domain is phenomenological richness. So the first question is asking about whether the content of the sample felt complex, intense, and or ineffable. So one way to think about complexity is through a science called network theory, where complexity is basically represented by the number of paths that can be taken through an entire network, where a path is any segment that connects 2 points. So to evaluate the complexity of your experience, one thing that you could try to do is to write down all the words that you could possibly use to describe the effect of the sample on your state of consciousness, and connect all pairs of words that represent similar experiences, resulting in a word network, like you see in this image below. And try to see how many paths you can take through that network. So in the example below, you can take 2 paths, and the more paths you can take, the more complex your experience is. Final question here, which is also the final question in the scoring card overall, is asking whether you experience a change in interoceptive communication or the way you experience any of your 5 senses, including audiovisual synesthesia and multisensory integration. So interoceptive communication is just the relationship between the internal signals passing through your body, such as heart rate variability, breathing rate, gastric signals, many more. Audiovisual synesthesia occurs when a clear visual image arises in your mind as you're listening to a particular sound. So for example, many synesthetes are able to consistently and across subjects associate the sound of a violin with a red-brown squiggly line and a flute with a yellow-blue circle. So ask yourself, is there a clear visual image that arises in your mind as you listen to the sample? And that's the guide. Thank you.
That was awesome, Kenneth. That was such a great explanation for what we should be doing. I just wanted to stop the share because we are now going to transition into our first sample.
Just to interrupt you, Tiffany, sorry, we've got Anna joining. So it'd be good to just make the slide available again for the, hi Anna, by the way. Anna's a long-term EVA speaker as well as audience member. So yeah, it'd be good to maybe just show the slide again with the Slido.
I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share the details in the chat because that's a quick way to get it to everyone.
Great, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Here we go. Cool.
And so Anna, if you can click on that link, that'll allow you to be part of the interactive part of the museum today. Thanks.
Okay, and I'm also sending out a link to the guide so that if you feel like you don't know how to answer a question when it comes time after a sample, you can look to the chat to open the guide that was so wonderfully explained by Kenneth. So, Carl, if it's all right, if you get that first audio sample open.
I'll get it ready, yeah, no problem.
Great. Let me know when you're ready for that.
Alrighty, give me 1 second.
And I also just made the Google Doc link accessible to everybody. So if you open that again, it should hopefully work. Let me know if it doesn't.
Our souls, awesome.
Just to say, I'm looking for Oscar's sample. It's not the one called third eye contact, fourth eye contact ad hoc, is it?
It is the same one, yeah.
It is that one, great, because that one is slightly longer than I imagined. But
we're just going to be capping it after the third eye contact segment ends.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to share my audio so you've got it.
Yeah, before you share, let's give everyone 2 minutes because we need mirrors for this exercise. So
yeah,
if you aren't in front of a mirror at the current moment, reorient yourself so that you can be in front of a mirror. I'm gonna actually go get a little baby mirror. What are you gonna use?
Yeah, I'll find one as well.
Okay, great. So we'll be back. Let's take 60 seconds. Everybody get their mirrors.
Great.
Hey everyone, I also just wanted to say, so the way this is going to work is we're going to go through a number of audio-based samples that will be playing from Carl's computer, and immediately afterward, we'll take a few minutes for everyone to just evaluate the samples using the Slido, and then we'd love to hear from whoever wants to share about how their experience with the sample went. So we're going to be off video, but we will be ready for your sample when you are, Carl. So now this first sample also just by name is called Third Eye Contact, and it's by an artist named Oscar and should be about 7 minutes long.
Okay, hi. Yeah, we're in my bathroom. Thank you for joining me here. This is a exhibit for the Museum of Consciousness, and this exhibit is going to be an introduction of sorts. You're going to have an encounter, and that encounter is going to be with our souls or something, but not self in a way we are familiar with. when I say you, or you think of myself, what your attention is on when you do that is not what we are about to encounter. We're going to make eye contact with two others, one might say two types of others. We're going to make eye contact with our third eye, and we're going to make eye contact with our fourth eye. I should disclaim that the third eye in question is not what is largely referred to as the third eye in the upper middle forehead. That is the fifth eye, if we're going to rank them. But there's two on the way that we usually miss, the third and the fourth. And we're going to meet both of them. And the exercise to do that is pretty simple, enough so that it almost will seem silly to some. If you have ever done a magic eye picture, or if, like me, when you were a child, you would stare at repeating patterns on wallpaper and you'd go a little bit cross-eyed and make them sort of the two images of the wallpaper, one from each eye, make them shift over each other, so they overlaid one iteration over, one pattern repeat over from its original location, and the wallpaper would seem closer to you or further away from you, depending how you did it. And the magic eye picture, of course, shows you the hidden message or image, or swan attacking another swan, or whatever it is the designer has put in there. But the reason I raise this is we're going to use the same basic technique now, but instead of using a magic eye picture or using a wallpaper, you're going to use your own face, essentially. So we're going to start with the easy one. This is how we're going to meet our third eye, not our fourth eye. This is the easy one. So lean in to the mirror, which I'm doing now, so my voice will sound a bit weird, and touch your nose against the mirror, the tip of your nose against the mirror. Now, when you look straight into the mirror, what you should see is one eye. And you might notice, if you kind of widen your peripheral vision without turning to the side, or even if you do look to the side, you'll see there are two other eyes. So there's sort of three in front of you. There's one very bold eye in the middle, and then there's one to each side. Now, all I'm going to ask you to do is keep looking at that one eye and treat it as one eye, and slowly move your face back and away from the mirror, very slowly, looking only at that one eye. And you'll see the other two eyes coming to the side, but do not look at them. Just keep staring at that one eye. Keep going back, away from the mirror, back, away from the mirror, back, away from the mirror, staring at that one eye, and just see how far you can get, maintaining that you are looking at a single eye that's in the middle of another two you can see in your peripheral vision. If it slips and it's all over the place, just go back and start again. And repeat, looking at that one eye as you back up. And keep trying. If it slips, try again, because you can do it. It won't slip if you go slowly enough and look intently enough at that one eye in the middle, the one that is all you can see when you first open your eyes if your nose is touching the mirror. And that should let you settle looking just at this one eye. You'll find the most comfortable distance for you, but do try and test that. See what the furthest you can get is comfortably before it strains. Maybe come back a little bit. In again, and just sort of find that most comfortable point for you to look at this one eye, to look at this one eye, to look at this one eye as it looks at you. It stares at you. It is watching you. Who stares at you? Who is watching you? Is it you? Is it the you you're used to? Or another you watching? Is it watching? This eye, is it watching you? Yes. Is it angry, this eye? Is it angry with you? Yes. Is it judging, this eye? Is it judging you? Yes. Is it pitying you, this eye? Is it pitying you? Yes. Is it forgiving you? This I, is it forgiving you? Yes. Is it loving you, this I? Is it loving you? Yes. Is it accepting you, this I? Is it accepting you? Yes. All of these things at once, this I that watches you, brings to bear upon you. You feel fragments of it. In the morning, you see yourself, you judge yourself. I'm not good enough. I should be prettier. I should be younger. You judge yourself. This I that watches you always, judging, watches you always hoping, watches you always hating, watches you always loving, watches you always accepting, watches you always rejecting. This I is all of you at once, watching. Watch it back. Say, I'm here. See how it responds. Forgive it. Love it. Accept it. It's watching. Accept it. Welcome it. Forgive it. Love it. Accept it. So that is the third I. Contact. Well done. Might have been a lot, might have been not a lot. I don't know. I hope it was helpful for some. Fourth.
Okay.
All right, so if everyone can go ahead and refer to either the QR code you've already done or the link in the chat and evaluate the sample's effect on your consciousness. Should take anywhere between 1 and 3 minutes. And once everyone's done that, once we have 9 participants, if anyone wants to share their reflections on this third eye contact sample. We'll give 1 more minute. We're about halfway there. More than halfway now. Thanks, Owen and Danielle, for sharing. Also, feel free if you'd like to go off mute and share. Let's just give 60 more seconds before we share so people can finish up. Okay, awesome. Does anyone want to share? We'll take 1 to 2 before we move on to the next sample. How?
Just to say there's a couple of comments in the chat.
Yeah.
So anyone who wants to open the mic, you're all able to. to share what you've thought. It'd be great to have your voice involved.
Great.
Owen, you reckon you saw 4 eyes? You want to talk us through how that felt? Oh, actually, I can see Owen doesn't have a mic. Danielle, did you want to mention how you could get to one eye with 2 overlapping eyes? Yeah, I actually had the same experience. I couldn't see one single eye. I don't know whether that's down to the crappiness of my mirror. But yeah, I couldn't get the one single eye. I had 2 overlapping eyes as well. Did you want to just have a little, yeah, tell us.
Yeah, sure. I was playing around with Magic Eye pictures like last year. So I was, in my back of my head, I was thinking, oh, great, I'm going to be great at this one. It's been so much time practicing it, but I found it a real challenge. So I found that just kind of opening and closing the eyes against the front of the mirror again allows you to sort of rebase and start again and bring you back to something closer to one eye. It was kind of a hybrid eye, so 2 eyes kind of joined together and overlapping. And that kind of double vision thing is something I'll play around quite a lot myself. I find it really enjoyable a way of seeing the world. But it was really more the audio guide that I found very emotional. I'm quite tired today, so I think my emotions are kind of on the surface anyway. But it could be, I started crying.
Thanks so much, Danielle. That's really interesting stuff. So yeah, do you want to do the next part, Tiffany?
Yeah, so as a quick sort of cleansing the palate before we move on to the next sample, which will be led by, the next set of samples will be led by Carl. And there'll be some combination of sitting or standing. Obviously, do whatever is accessible and comfortable for you. Before we move on to the next sample, we're going to do a cleansing breath exercise. It'll just be a quick 1-minute box breathing exercise. And if you could just bear 1 minute, we're going to actually use an audio visual aid as well. So just give me a second to join.
Yeah. So just
Oh. Sorry about that. All right. So, Kenneth, do you want to explain box breathing while I get this open?
Yes. So box breathing is a technique that involves breathing in for 4 seconds, holding your breath for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, and holding your breath for 4 seconds. It'll be very intuitive as you take a look at the app.
Yeah, the aid. Okay, here we go. I've got it. There we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start. Awesome. And with that, we're gonna switch to Carl.
Thanks, Tiffany.
That's what I meant to do. There we go.
Okay, so we're ready for the next experience. And this one's from Heather Hargroves. And it's called Awakened Inquiry. So keep your mics turned off and your eyes closed for this experience. It's about 4 minutes long and it's a beautiful one. So let's try Heather.
Just take a moment and ground yourself where you're sitting. I want you to think of something, a feeling, a behavior, or a thought that you want to change. Where, when, and with whom do you have this behavior or feeling? And then take a moment to turn inward in this relaxed state. And think about a specific time that it occurred. Bring yourself back into that situation, seeing what you saw, hearing what you heard, feeling what you felt at the time. And as you relive this experience, notice your internal images, sounds, or feelings. Really take it in. Bring yourself back to this place. You may begin to sense that this part of you is in your body or around you. Where do you sense that this pattern lives? And even though you don't know what the positive intention of this part is, you can begin thanking this part for being there. Because you can trust that it has some positive intention for you. And now ask this part of you, what is your positive intention? And then relax. Go back to the sensations you were feeling. Go back to a relaxed body. And just see what arises. And as an answer becomes clear, thank this part for its response. And then we will invite this part to step or breathe into what it is already like to have the answer. So if the part said, it's protecting you from fear, what would it be like to have no fear? To feel fully and completely safe? And ask this part, when you have what it is you've been seeking, is there something through having this that's even deeper or more important? And again, release and relax and wait for the answer from the feeling inside. And repeat this process. As answers arise, you thank it. And then you invite that part again to step into what it would be like to already have whatever it is seeking, fully and completely. Wait for the answer, thank it, and return until you feel you've come to a place of understanding and insight. And then come back to that place where the part lives in your body and notice what has changed.
Okay, so that was Heather's. Now it's time for you to do your assessment of the experience. Again, that's the link in the chat. you've not already got it open in the slide home. So we'll give you a couple of minutes to go through those answers. It's very, the more you do it, the simpler it gets, but try and reach into yourselves, introspection, introception. These are toolkits that we desperately need. Embodiment is crucial. So let's see how effective these samples are at generating those skills. So, Owen, you're asking which one is it in the list? Can you elaborate on what you mean?
So yeah, I just said it seems they seem to have different names. From what is it? The energy movement directionality.
Let me have a quick look. So basically, what you're actually trying to do is you're trying to answer.
Oh, I see. It's a whole list for each event.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I see. All right. I missed the first one up then. Okay.
Don't worry, Owen. This is all very easygoing. We're all learning together. So, you know, that's a great question. And if anyone else didn't understand it, yeah, you go through each of the 4 areas and fill those in. It's all they're the same for each sample.
Okay, cheers.
And we just reset the poll, so feel free to refresh it.
Yeah, good shout. Okay, so another 30 seconds. Tiffany, get ready to do the box breathing again.
Yep, Kenneth is getting it ready now.
All right, then. So let's move on to the box breathing.
Thanks, Kenneth. Feel free to share the audio, the visual again. I think that really helped.
Indeed. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Excellent. So we'll start the box breathing now. Great.
Thanks, Kate.
Carl, do you want to take us to the next sample?
I will indeed. Okay, so this one's from Sophie. And yeah, it's called Blue Smile.
Hello, my name's Sophie Lee Henson, and we're going to be spreading feelings of joy through the body using proprioception. We'll be conducting a little experiment to see how your mind and body can be utilized to feel amazing. Through these simple activities, I hope to demonstrate how we can spread that feeling of joy using the lesser-known sense called proprioception. If you close your eyes and hold a hand in front of your face, you can sense where your hand is in relation to your body. Keeping your eyes closed, I really want you to envision your hand. Imagine the outline of it. Wiggle your fingers around and visualize that movement. Great. Now open your eyes. We're going to be performing a technique called bloom smiling, using this exact principle. We'll be bloom smiling twice. Once with our eyes open, using our whole body and moving that body. And once just with the power of proprioception. The bloom smile is a smile which starts off in the face and eventually will fill every single part of your body. So we're going to do the bloom smile standing up. Ensure you have enough space around you to reach outwards. We're first going to release any tension that you may be holding in the body. So shake out your arms, your legs, shake out your head, shake out any tension you may be holding on to, including in your face. And just relax everything. For our first bloom smile, every action that I tell you to do, I want you to manifest that on the body. When I tell you to bring awareness to a certain part of the body, I want you to really throw it around, just really activate that with a physical movement. And always be very, very aware where the bloom smile has gotten to in the body and note how it feels. So the bloom smile starts off as a tingle from behind the teeth, stretching out into the corners of the lips, flushing up into the cheeks, upwards over the eyes, giving you a sparkle in the eye, lifting up over the brows, really raise those brows in an exaggerated facial expression, and as it starts to fill up the head, you notice your cranium filling with that smile. And as the pressure starts to build up, eventually that pressure becomes so great it starts to seep out of the ears and eventually bursts from the top of the head. And what goes up must come down. And as it comes down, it goes over the shoulders, down into the upper arms, across the elbows. Now let that smile into the forearms, just shake out the forearms, into the wrists, just round the wrists, into the palms, and the fingers and the fingernails, just really stretch out those palms. Into the shoulders once again, we're bursting out through the shoulder blades, through the chest, down into the stomach. And as it starts to enter the stomach, let it start to ring around a joy of hula hoop. A hula hoop of joy around the waist. Just really make that hula hoop motion. Downwards into the hips, giving you cha-cha hips and giving you a nice wiggly bum. Excellent, excellent. Now we're shaking our bottoms nice and vigorously. We're going down into the thighs, into the knees. Shake those knees out. Let that smile seep into the shins and the calves, into the ankles, into the heels, the soles of the feet, into the balls of the feet. You might want to push up on the balls of the feet there. Let go into the toes. And now your whole body is filled with joy. Let that bubble back up through the body from the toes, up through the core. And as it hits the lungs, take that deep breath in. And hold that feeling of joy. And as you release, say, that's better. Excellent. Now that is our first physical bloom smile. What we're going to do next is to shake it out again. We're going to just release all that joy that we just generated. Get back to that point of relaxation. What we just did was the hero version of the bloom smile. And there is also a zero version of the bloom smile. For this zero version, I'm going to take you through now. We're going to do exactly the same as we just did, but without moving a muscle. The zero version can be done standing up or seated or however you feel most comfortable. So as the smile moves through the body, with our mind's eye, we're going to visualize the parts of our body around us, much like we envisioned our hand in front of our faces. So now in a nice relaxed position, close your eyes and focus on where that smile is. It starts off as that tingle from behind the teeth, spreading out into the corners of the lips. Without moving a single muscle, it flushes up into the cheeks, over the eyes, leaving a sparkle in the eye. As it lifts over the brows, up into the cranium, and starts to fill up the head. And as that pressure starts to increase, eventually you sense the smile starting to seep out the ears, until eventually the pressure becomes so great it bursts from the top of the head, raining down over the shoulders, over the forearms, into the wrists, into the palms of the hands, and into each one of the fingers and the fingernails. Now envision your entire arm just filled with joy. Visualize back up into the shoulders, down onto the shoulder blades on the back, opening up through the chest, down into the stomach, starting to surround you in that hula hoop of joy, and downwards into the hips and into the bum, giving you that cha-cha hips and a wiggly bum. Just picture that in your mind. Let the smile seep down into the thighs, into the knees, into the shins and the calves, into the ankles, into the heels of the foot, into the sole, the ball of the feet, and now into each one of your little toesies. And just sit with that feeling as it starts to bubble back up through the body, up and up and up, spreading that feeling of joy. Take it back up to your head. Take that nice deep breath in. Just feel and observe that joy across the whole body, and as you breathe out, say, that's better. Very good. The bloom smile can be done absolutely anywhere at any time, depending on the social acceptability of that space. You may want to go more towards the hero or the zero point, but you can do it when you're waiting in traffic. You can do it just before you go to sleep. You can do it whilst you're waiting in line at the post office. The Bloom Smile is designed to make you feel good wherever you are, whenever you need it. To be aware of the body. So spread a little joy and remember to smile, whether it's on the inside or the outside. Thank you very much.
Okay, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that. So time again to do your assessment. Did we reset the poll, guys?
Yes.
The Slido? Yeah, great. Okay, 1 minute left. Okay, I think we're done for now. Does anyone want to give us a little bit of feedback on what they thought of the Bloom Smile? Was it uplifting for anyone? Don't be shy. I found it actually pretty uplifting. Elia's loving it. All right, in the interest of time, I'm gonna get, oh, Anna was disturbed by the quality of the audio. Do you wanna give us some more info on that, Anna? Do you mean it was too loud or?
Well, no, but I think it's my personal perception. I mean, the music in the background was repetitive.
Sorry, Anna, we're struggling to hear you. It's funny that you're talking about the quality of the audio and we can't hear you. Maybe just write it in the chat. That'd be good to understand. Owen found it ironic. Owen found it invigorating. Yeah, that is ironic. But yeah, thanks for the feedback, Anna. We're very grateful to get the feedback, and that feedback then goes back to the artists. So normally we would have the artists here to give their experience in person, or at least in virtual person. Okay, we're ready now for the box breathing again, Kenneth.
Excellent. Sharing my screen now. Great. Can everybody see this?
Yep. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Anna, for your feedback in the chat. Right, it's over to you, Kenneth. I'll share the audio.
Yes, excellent. So first we're going to start with a clip by Zandra called Water Consciousness. So Carl, if you just pull that up for us. It's 3 minutes long.
Okay, sharing now.
Today, we are going to use your inner waters to wash yourself. So stand up tall. Prepare the space so you can make the most of this experience. You can put a candle, some incense, music, preferably with no lyrics. Live this moment as yours. Once you are standing, relax your shoulders, your knees, and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and out. Create a delicious flow with your breathing, representing the waves of the ocean. Let your body move with the flow of your inner waters, connecting every movement deeply with your essence. Be creative. Let creativity guide your steps. Relax your mouth. Move without gravity. And start touching different parts of your body. Feeling with each touch the whole envelope of your skin. After a while, stop. Rest in your skin. Rest in your senses, in your waters. Say to yourself any kind message. The water remembers everything.
Great. Thank you, Carl, for playing that. We've just reset the polls, so feel free to go back to the Slido and take 2 to 3 minutes to answer the questions. Just take about another minute or two. All right. Do people have any reflections that they wish to share? For me, there was definitely a change in bodily awareness. There was a moment when I was touching the envelope of my skin, and there was like this tingle that was sort of resting in the center of my spine.
Yeah, I really loved this one. It's very subtle and very short, but it's yeah, moving like water. You know, the whole Bruce Lee thing, and I really like the relationship between the breath and thinking of the breath as fluid and water like.
Yeah, awesome. Owen, did you want to speak at all about in what ways the experience felt fluid for you?
It was just very wave-like, I guess, and it was, yeah, without differences between things, and it was more like the relationships between them rather than the things themselves, I guess. Yeah.
Nice. Lila, how about? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Owen.
Yeah, I was just saying that Lila's written, I love the metaphor of the inner waters and felt it in my body. It was extremely hypnotic. Thanks for that. All right, so next up, Kenneth.
Great. I will share my screen again, and we'll do a bit of breathing. Wonderful. So now we're going to move on to the next sample, which is Dream Incubation by SJ. So if you just pull that up for us, Carl.
Prepare yourself to go on a journey through hypnagogia, through the state just before sleep. And recognize.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't sharing that. 1 second.
And recognize. Prepare yourself to go on a journey through hypnagogia, through the state just before sleep. And recognize the thread that links you to the dream world. Prepare yourself for this experience by lying on your back in a comfortable position, in a place where you won't be disturbed for the next few minutes. Close your eyes and allow your arms and hands to fall heavily on the sides of your body, and take a very deep, nourishing, refreshing, relaxing breath in. Hold that breath in your lungs for 5 seconds and feel your lungs rejuvenating, resting, expanding, and then slowly release this breath. And as you do, feel your body falling, sinking into deep waves of relaxation. Imagine your body sinking down from the surface of the sea. Imagine your body rolling with the current of the water, just gently rolling with the tide and drifting through the water to the sea floor and sinking into the soft sand of the seabed. And you feel your body sink into this soft sand, slip down and melt into the seabed, your body dripping like ice into the salt water. And you feel very peaceful but very calm. Bring your attention now to the space between your eyebrows. And I want you to imagine now you're staring down a long, dark blue tunnel of moving water, traveling through this space, through this tunnel and tube of moving, rolling, dark blue water. And it is your job to keep your awareness active, to remember as you travel through this tunnel into a dream where you've come from and where you're going. Remember, remember, remember.
Okay.
Great. Thank you for that, Carl. Yeah, so we'll just take another 2 to 3 minutes to complete the poll. I believe it's already been reset, right, Tiff?
Yep.
Great. Great, so just take another 30 seconds or so. All right. Does anybody have any reflections that they want to share? Is anybody able to actually sink into hypnagogia?
It's a tough one to achieve, hypnagogia.
Yeah.
Especially at this time of day. But I just find her voice so hypnotic.
It's true, yeah.
Well,
I don't
I
think I've
felt,
ever. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
hi, I felt that, well, I didn't reach that state because it needs time, but I felt that it was promising. It was as if I am on the threshold, and you know, if it would continue, it could happen, the actual experience. But it was very interesting, very hypnotic, very complex, and it was very imaginative. Yeah, it was,
Yeah, thanks, Lilia.
yeah.
Sarah Janes is a master at this stuff. Owen, did you want say a bit of feedback? No.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yes, I was the same. I didn't get to hypnagogic, no, but it was kind of relaxing and nice. Yeah, pretty bland words. Sorry, but it wasn't as deep, perhaps, as some of the other ones.
No worries, Owen. Thanks for the feedback. All right, let's do one more breath work, and then we've got one more sample, and then we're gonna close. So thanks. Go ahead.
Perfect. Excellent. So let's move on with the final sample. Carl.
All righty.
This one is called Embodied Double Consciousness by Kevin Davidson. And it's 4 minutes long.
Hello and welcome to this experience of embodied double consciousness. My name's Kevin and I'm looking forward to sharing with you a few activities to do together, and then we'll have a few minutes at the end for you to experiment and journal about your experience. So when I talk about double consciousness, I'm talking about what Carl Smith describes as the state of being which gives access at one and the same time to two distinctly different fields of experience. And we're going to explore that in an embodied way. So we're going to explore the forms of our body as well as the formless space in which our bodies exist. So we could develop this idea by referring to Eckhart Tolle, who describes the development of consciousness as moving from thinking to awareness, from the forms to the space in which the forms take place. And where Eckhart Tolle is talking about thought forms, I'm interested in using the same principle with our physical form. So we're going to do exercises which help us to experience being moved by the space around us, or being the awareness in which our body moves. So to begin with, if you could stand up with your feet shoulder width apart and stand in a relaxed way. Relax your shoulders, relax any muscles around your forehead, around your jaw. You can have eyes open or eyes closed, whatever works best for you. But it's probably good to take your eyes away from the screen. Just let them have a soft gaze if they're open. And then we're going to start just by turning our head from side to side. We're just going to turn our heads slowly from the right and then to the left. In your own time, turning your head to the right, so you're starting to look over to the right with your eyes, and then to the left. And now we're going to focus on the space in which our head moves. And so this time, I want you to imagine there's a bird flying across the sky above you from the left to the right. And I want you to follow it with your eyes. So fill your imagination with this bird flying from left to right. And then when you get to the right, you can do the opposite. So imagine a bird flying from right to left and follow it with your eyes. And your head will follow. And just keep this exercise from left to right and then right to left. And for the last few seconds of this exercise, you could consider, where do you wish for a little more space in your life? Space between things, space between activities, space between words, or space between people. Where do you wish for some more space?
Excellent. Thank you, Carl. So let's take 2 to 3 minutes to just complete the final round of the poll. All right, great. Let's just take another 30 more seconds. Awesome. Does anybody have any reflections that they'd like to share? I personally didn't feel all too much from this sample, honestly. I think there was a sense in which like I began to experience like literally the space between me and other things as like an actual distancing in my mind, I suppose. But I think that was more or less it for me.
Owen, what did you think about when you say radical idealism? What do you mean? That'd be good to hear.
I think it was kind of strongly mentalist, not in the vernacular term, but in the idea of all is mind kind of thing. Yeah, so that's because that's kind of my, I'm anti kind of materialist, so it's probably my predilection. But yeah, it's nice to think of the birds flying around. And in Weston-super-Mare where I live, they're seagulls and they're a bit violent. So I was trying to think of more pleasant, like swifts or something, pleasant. Because they do aim at you, those seagulls.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Really, I was in Brighton, so I know.
Oh, right, there you go then.
Great stuff. Kenneth, we've got exactly 6 minutes before we have to finish for the next workshop to start. So,
yep. It sounds great. So I'm going to pass things over now to Tiff, who is going to lead us through a group Om to conclude our workshop.
You might have to take that off. All right. Those were a lot of samples. I hope you guys enjoyed a number of them, if not all. This closing exercise is going to be an Om chant. You might have done an Om chant in yoga before. It's known generally as the sound or vibration of the universe. But practically speaking, it sounds like if you were to say home, but take out the H sound, it's an Om, but the goal is that you want to sort of balance out the sound of every syllable. Or I guess, yeah, every syllable being A, U, sorry, I don't know my grammar. What is the
A-E-I-O-U?
No, it's explained as A, U, and M. A, U, and M, where the sound that you're actually making in an Om is a blending of the A sound and the U sound. So it's like a O as opposed to just an O. So sorry, that was very confusing. But yeah, I think the most important thing is this is a group activity. This is our close. Thank you for sharing the space with us. And 3 basic guiding principles. You want to be seated and relaxed in a comfortable position. You want to think and perhaps focus on summoning the group chant with reverence and surrender. And you're going to close your eyes and keep them shut. Before we start, we're going to take 1 exhale as a group, a 4-6 count, 4-second inhale, 6-second exhale. And then the second time we do it, we're going to release an Om. So let's start with the first breath. Everyone take 1. Inhale deeply through the nose and fill your belly with air. And then exhale slowly with your lips pursed. And then now inhale for 4 seconds and we're going to all release. Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks, Kenneth. That was wonderful. And yeah, over to you, Sean. We're finishing slightly early to allow for the next workshop to set up. But yeah, we will actually, let me just put the Museum of Consciousness website in the chat so you can join the
Carl,
newsletter.
if you'd like to share anything before we all head out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you hear me? I'm just going to put
I think there's another one in 3 minutes, so everyone's probably moving around. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Nice to meet you, Owen and Lila.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
That's the website, Lilia and Owen. Feel free
Dina,
to join,
yeah.
feel free to join that. And you can get the newsletter and sign
Great.
up for it. All right, cheers, guys. Thanks
Bye.
for joining. Cheers, Owen. All right, Sean. Do you need me around for the next workshop? I know Nick is delayed, I believe, in terms of hosting, but I don't think we need to worry too much about that. What do you think?